Good evening from the perspective of Monsey, New York. We're in the middle of Atah Das, and we actually did last time Chonantanu. And I like to continue on with Chonantanu and learn with you the Dober Shalom on Chonantanu, but he starts with the comparison between Atah and Chonantanu. Atah Das, Chonantanu. So the redundancy, which we spoke about already last time we spoke, but it's possible to explain that in that the kinyan of Chachma, the acquisition of wisdom, is different than any other acquisition. All other acquisitions are acquired to a person, can be acquired by a person, even if he is not worthy of them. A slave can become a king. A vile person can become the rich, etc., etc. Chachma doesn't work like that. Chachma can only be acquired according to the characteristics of a person, his skills or preparation, his talent, and his toil. Like we say, the saying chelkeinu b'sorasecha. What is saying chelkeinu b'sorasecha? Each person should be given his chelek. Each of us should be given our chelek according to our characteristics and what's right for us in Torah and what we can perceive and grasp in Torah. That's why Chazal say, person should learn what he likes, what he loves, because that's going to appeal to his chunas hanefesh, to his character. So it comes out that for the require chachma, one requires two matters. One is the person's proper preparation, and the other is that the chachma should be revealed from the master of wisdom, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to a person. And the Sfarim call this the depth of the concept and the shortcomings of the conceptualizer. In other words, the concept is very deep, and therefore sometimes one cannot acquire Torah, and sometimes the conceptualizer, the person who's trying to acquire the Torah, is not sufficiently skilled, have sufficient background, or has toiled enough to attain it. So Atah Das means the HaKadosh Baruch Hu graces us with the revelation of wisdom. You give it to us as a gift. In other words, the Chachma is a gift from HaKadosh Baruch Hu presented to mankind. That is, is that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu prepared us. Atah Das is that you gave us the gift of Chachma. Chonantanu, you graced us with the capacity to know your Torah. So Atah Das, he's learning as the Das coming from above to below, and Atah is our capacity coming from above to below. That also, because also the preparation of a person to perceive Torah is not his own, but rather it's with God's help. And that's why he says, Moses quoting Dover Shalom, in Masechet Sodom it says, Kamayim apanim lapanim. That's a quote from Apostle. When two people face each other, they take on similar attitudes to each other, just like water takes on the shape of the vessel which it is to be found. That a person's it's customary in the world that if you have a Rebbe, he wants to teach. Say that you have a Rebbe who wants to teach, and a student who doesn't want to learn. Or you have a student who wants to learn, and a Rebbe who doesn't want to teach. That happens frequently, especially to speak as a teacher and a Rebbe. But here, in the case of us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Rebbe wants to teach, and the Talmud wants to learn. And so there are two aspects here in the Chanina, in the grace of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which come together at the time of Matan Torah. That Hashem bestowed Das upon us, the revelation of His Chachma, and He also gave us the Hachona, the proper preparation, L'madat, or to know the Torah. Okay, that's his interpretation of the parallelism between Atah Das and Chonantanu. Going on to Ben Kodesh Lo Ben Yisrael Amen, the Havdalos. So he says to understand the why it says, he has a question, why it says Ben Kodesh L'Chol and not Ben Kodesh Uvein Chol? In other words, Ben Kodesh L'chol sounds like something's flowing from Kodesh L'chol. Which should be Ben Kodesh U'Men Chol, between Kodesh on one side and Chol on the other side. So he says, and he says that is, as we find in the pasuk, Ben Ora Ben Choshech, Ben Yom Ben Elayla, without Ben, not Lamed. So he wants to explain based on what he wrote else in one of his other Sfarim, that every time you find the word Ben, it is linked to a word which starts with a Lamed. It indicates that which is stated in the word connected to the Lamed stands in its place, and the second concept is separated from it. Okay? So he's and the Medrash Rabbah says, it says Vavdilha mikem, I separate it from you. There will not be any. No, sorry, I read that wrong. Were to say Vavdilha mikem, I separate nations from you, then the Jews would have been lost. But it says Vavdilha schem min ha'amim, I separate you from the nations. Like somebody who separates his borer and chos the borer and separates and refines again. So the Medrash tells us that something which is separated and sifted from something else does not go back to what it originally was, but remains separated. Whatever remains in the original place. Sometimes you can take away another part of it. Another part of it. You can sift the flour again. You can separate another part. But the part which is separated remains separate. So in all these things, ben koshcho, ben or choshech, ben solamim, ben yom v'shir sheish samei maaseh, that are mentioned here, all of them will come back to the ideal at the proper time. Choshech will not be eternal, because it says, pasuk v'el eis ervia or, eventually there will be light also at night. And those who deny HaKadosh Baruch Hu will also not remain in that state forever, because it says, eventually everybody will call the name of Hashem. And in the matters of chol will not be always remain chol and mundane. So he says, Kodesh LaHashem. Not familiar with that pasuk, but evidently that pasuk has the indication. And the days of the week, the days of work will not be forever, because it says that the world to come is Yom Shekul Shabbos. So therefore it says here, Ben Kodesh L'chol, that the Kodesh is separated from the Chol, it's taken away, and eventually the Chol remains in its original state, and eventually more and more of the Chol becomes Kodesh. Like a person who's borer, and then afterwards is borer again. And also Ben Or L'choshech, that the Choshech will become Or, more and more Or. Ben Yisrael Amim, that the Goyim will come more and more like Am Yisrael. They will become like the Hashem. That all the Yemei HaMaaseh will come more and more towards to become Shabbos. Okay, it's a cute idea. So getting back, summarizing, being Kodesh L'chol means Kodesh, Kodesh came from Chol, but Chol can still come to Kodesh. Ben Or L'choshech, or came from Choshech, but Chosh can still turn to Torah. Ben Yisrael L'amim, Yisrael came from Amim, the Amim can still come back to Yisrael. The Shabbos is taken from 6 days of creation. The 6 days of creation can still be taken back, separate, later become Yom Shekul Shabbos. I like the Dover's question, Shalom's question. I don't like his answer so much. So if it was up to me, I would say the lamed in front of each of these words is indicating an influence from the first word to the second word. It's like any lamed means to go to. So Ben Kodesh L'chol, we want the Kedusha to impact on the Chol. Ben Or L'choshech, we want the light to impact on the Choshech. Ben Yisrael Ami, we want Am Yisrael to have this influence over the Umos Ha'olam. But Yom Shesh Temasa, there's the culminating one for our purpose in Havdalah Motzei Shabbos, is that the seventh day should have Hashpah on the 6 days which are coming up. And of course, that makes sense that we finish that because the next line is Hachel is an interesting word. According to Araf Yosef, it either means that cause the days to be bestowed upon us in peace, or it means Hachel is Techila, they should begin now with peace. But the Hachel Aleinu, I like that idea, beginning. Hachel Aleinu, make them commence at this point. But it's in juxtaposition to Yom HaShvi Shesh Temei Maaseh. Baruch Hu, we're coming out of Yom HaShvi, have the Yom HaShvi impact on the Shesh Temei Maaseh, and they should be Shalom Chasukim Mikol Chet. Here it says Vafesha. I don't know if I say Vafesha. Okay, but it makes sense. But I never checked. Oh well, I think I always say Mikol Chet, not Pesha. I have to check up the other Siddur. Umenukim Mikol Avam, Umedubakim B'Yirasecha. So Chasuchim Mikol Chet means that Kosh Baruch Hu can save us from Averos which are b'shoigeg, right? So he should say that the Averos b'shoigeg, they don't really happen deliberately. Maybe a Kosh Baruch, we're asking Kosh Baruch Hu to please save us from this. And often it's deliberate. So a person should, at least we do avonos, we should be able to be menukeh. We should be able to be cleansed of those avonos. Perhaps that's the difference in the verbs which are used. Chasuchim, saved from all sin, and menukim mikol avon, cleansed of all avonos. And I believe this is the Eitz Yosef actually makes this point. Okay, he says by avon lo shayach bo lashon chasuchim. You can't say that we should say because you have free will about that. It's not b'shoigeg. And then he brings down a question, whatever. The rest of it is not relevant for us at the moment. And they should be clinging to your yira. In other words, b'dubakim b'yirasecha also it links back to Shabbos. Chazal say Ema Shabbos am Oretz. Oretz is afraid of Shabbos. That's why he doesn't lie on Shabbos. That's why if you ask him to be meiser his grain during the week, you can't believe him. And at Shabbos, you can believe him because Shabbos is awe in and of itself. So therefore, it's saying that the coming days should be medubakim b'yirasecha. They should be davek to Shabbos. They should be a continuation of Shabbos, which is your yira and will bring yira to the rest of the week. Okay, the rest of the bracha. We will do next time, but I do have some more email from Remicha Berger, which I want to share. So he writes me, for your presentation, I don't think you know. If you do, I don't mean to talk down to you. Kesser Aram Tzova is believed to be a copy of Ben Asher's manuscript, the Ben Asher manuscript. Actually, it's very embodied Masora's version of the text. The Rambam said is to be considered authoritative, and as far as I know, no one disagrees. They might disagree that Kesser Masova is actually is that which Ram is talking about. But in terms of Shita, Sudafal theory, that is what the Kesser Masova is. So Kesser Masova says cause a separate word. That's more than just a very old manuscript saying so. Of course, I knew that. So I apologize for not making that clear the last time out that Kesser Masova has a unique authority which transcends just something which is found in one old book. They say that Saul Lieberman was once sitting next to Rabbi Soloveitchik at a simcha, and he told him some new chiddush. Hershel Shechler is down in Sefer. Some new chiddush which he found with some going, some strange thing. And Hershel Shechler brings down what it was. I forget. And the Chaim said the Rav said the Zeidahaka can't learn him better via Sach Goinim. Many people in the Goinim were not on the Madrega of Reb Chaim. So yes, just an old manuscript in and of itself is an old manuscript. But the Kesser Aram Tzeva, that's not just an old manuscript, that's authoritative. So, yes, if it says Kesser Aram Tzeva, hallelujah and ka in two separate words, so then we should probably say hallelujah when we speak in generally and not say hallelujah, which I was just allowed to say because of learning. Okay, yeah, from my perspective, have a good night.